All right. We are live. We have a big show today. We have a massive number of college games. We've got the marquee game. We got OKC versus Spurs. We got 6 NBA games. We got college basketball. We've got NHL. We've got some college bowl games as well. Kicking off tonight. Got a special guest joining us at 8:30. We're going to talk some college football. So hopefully it'll be around. Join me. I'm actually going to try to run this on here and on TikTok at the same time. We'll see if this works. So right now we've got the Wizards trailing by 3. So should be an interesting game. I have to make this go smaller. So we'll see. We got some plays out there in the bottom. We're going to make some money tonight. We'll see what's going on. We got 2 8 o'clock games getting ready to kick off. We've got the Knicks and the Minnesota. We've got Denver and Dallas. So they will not let you have both of them on, will they? So All right, we're live. We're going through, see what's happened today. We've got some 8 o'clock games getting ready to kick off right now. If you haven't heard the news, Wemby will play in the 8:30 game. He has been cleared to play versus OKC. But first of all, we got Denver versus Dallas. If you haven't been aware, Denver plays literally almost no defense. Every team they have, they allow to score. Dallas is going to be missing quite a few pieces here tonight. No Klay Thompson, no PJ Washington, Max Christie continuing to be out. Ryan Neighborhood stepped up ever since he's kind of taken over the starting point guard role. Daniel Gafford will start to be able to battle against Jokic. AD is in, and Cooper Flag will be in as well. I like Cooper Flag, but really, these points props has been going over 20.5. I kind of like him at 20. I think he's a consistent 18-point scorer. Anything above that, I think you're right at the top tier of his scoring capabilities right now based on this in the league. But again, we say Denver allows you to run up and gun, allows you to kind of get into the paint because Hardy's sometimes a little bit of a black hole when he touches the basketball. Also, we'll see Anthony Davis to get his rebounds. I think he's going to go well over that. He's gone over that in 4 straight games. He should continue to go over that without any much of an issue. Then we move over to the Knicks in Minnesota. We can kind of call this the Knicks are getting ready for Christmas because OG's out, Brunson's out, McBride's out, Shemet and Yabusele's aren't going to play. So Tyler Kolek is going to get the start here for the Knicks. Mikal Bridges will play and Towns will play. I love that capability of having Mitchell Robinson's going to start there to be able to deal with Gobert. I don't think he's going to do too well. I think Gobert will get his rebounds, probably a double-double for Gobert. Mitchell Robinson get 5.5 points, though. I do really like. I think he has a pretty good chance to kind of get that off the offensive glass. Obviously, nothing's going to be run for him, but as long as he's got minutes, and minutes equals production in the NBA. So I think he'll definitely be able to get that as well. Like I said, we're playing Gobert as well to get his rebounds. I won't be shocked here if Minnesota makes quick work of this game, but you never know. I mean, they're NBA players, guys come in there, give out a little bit more heart, and sometimes that comes through for you. So other than that, it's a pretty good time that we see. So let's see. Let's look at the chat. Let's see what you guys are thinking. I know. Yep. So those are the 2 8 o'clock games. We'll move on to the 8:30 game as well. That should be the very interesting game. I kind of took a small sprinkle. I took the Spurs plus 6.5. OKC has not been looking as strong lately. We'll see if that changes as it comes through. But yeah. So, all right. Sorry, just able to do something, and I kind of was happy about that. So, should be very interesting games that we got. You've got the Washington with the small lead on Charlotte. Zion Williamson moved back into the starting lineup tonight, so that makes that game a little bit more interesting. Cavs are making short work of the Pelicans. Kind of surprised on that though. Sixers bow down. Maxey picked up 2 quick fouls. Had 0 points for most of this first half. So he now has 1 point. So he's kicking ass. Basically been an old timers club. He got a beat in Paul George scoring pretty regularly. So Bagley have a really nice game. Kind of pissed I wasn't on him there. Diabate's got 13 rebounds already. That's kind of sick. They're only in the second quarter. Cavs now up 16. Making real short work. Playing really well, especially the backup. Chandler Tyson's playing a pretty nice game tonight. Bulls are losing the lineup by 6 right now. It's early. Celis has got 3 points. Kill Alexander Walker's got 13, so nothing really live to be able to get in there. Queen's got 3 rebounds. Hopefully he can end the half of 4. Again, it's interesting. He's going to have to figure out how to coexist with Derek Queen. Zion Williamson, with him starting in the starting lineup. How the two kind of interact and how they start to go, and is kind of where the Pels got to confirm that they both can play together and they can find a home with each of them on the floor at the same time. But who knows? So it's 26-20. The game I basically wanted nothing to do with is the Bucks versus the Pacers game. Not a lot of defense can be played in that game. So Ingram's got 3 points. Really no big scoring in this game. There's 21-16. Ware does have 3 rebounds. Adebayo's got 4 rebounds. Even Powell's got 3 rebounds tonight. I mean, it's been a brick fest upon brick fest in that game. Washington, Charlotte, the scoring has definitely jumped up versus the first quarter. We had 55 points. We've got a 69-point quarter here with 31 seconds to go. So tons of points, tons of scoring as an option in this game. Trey Johnson gets it. Nope. That's the rebound. Brandon Miller up to Tijani Salone, and he scores in the hoop in the bucket. And he gets a chance to cut it to 1, which he does. 31 seconds to go. So Denver and Dallas are underway. OKC, San Antonio. We'll take a look at that game. We got 2 9:00 games. We'll talk a look at college football at 8:30. That's going to happen now that we know the actual lineups that are in. Still waiting for confirmation from the OKC lineup. Now we've got it. So they'll be their typical starting 5. Spurs are going to start their starting 5, same that they played in the NBA Cup. Luke Cornett's going to start at center. But Wemby will play. He has been cleared to play, so he will play. So should be a very interesting game, trying to find some action in there between Spurs and OKC. So, yeah. Wizards close out the first half up 3. Like Charlotte in this game, I think they close this game out. I think they have a pretty good chance for that. So if you look at the last time Wemby played OKC, they had no answer for him. So it'll be very interesting to see what they do different to try to combat Wemby here. But again, Wemby sometimes is his own worst player in the fact that he likes to stand out on the perimeter and shoot outside jump shots when he has the height advantage over every guy he plays with. So Wemby at over 8.5 rebounds is definitely the first thing that I'd take in this game. That's the thing that screams out to me right now. He's coming off back-to-back games where he had 12 rebounds. So I'm going to be on Wemby over 8.5 rebounds. That's going to be the first play in this game. I'd nibbled the Spurs plus 6.5 to start the game. I'm not taking them for a full unit, but it's just something I think we can kind of dip into as the game goes along. So, yeah. So we'll see. Tell you guys what you like in the chat. So I had the chat last time. The guy said they had trouble to being able to actually chat in it. So please let me know if that's at least working. So then I at least know that's processing the way it should play. So other than this game, Case on Walls. Case on Walls has been somebody we've been playing with a lot to try to see kind of what we like. What's up, Gerardo? Nice to join us. Yep. So Wallace, we used to be able to take it minus 110 for 2 steals. Now they're making it minus 150, which makes it a no play. Shea's hit over only his points total in 2 of the last 6 games. I mean, it's not something I'm really trying to jump into. Maybe more interested kind of in Shea's threes. Back-to-back games at 3 threes. Is not going to be able to get into paint. Can be lots of outside shooting. Kind of might. What's his PRA? His PRA is at 43.5, which is interesting. Definitely been able to contribute on rebounds and assists lately. So looking at what is rebounds assists, his rebounds assists is a 10.5. I'm going to go ahead and take that. I'll take that for a half unit. I'm going to take Shea. I'm also live on YouTube, which we have a little better chat than we have in TikTok as well. So Gerardo, what are you on? What are you taking? So we're going to take Shea, SGA, over 10.5, rebounds and assist. Let's go. Let's get this. We got the marquee game. Yeah, Cam Spencer's been great since he's kind of been filling in there. The other guy I've been cashing a lot with is Isaiah Collier, which is already in the chat. You can see, did I take? Oh, sorry, I took that off. I apologize. So definitely like Isaiah Collier. Collier has been cashing for us left and right. So going to continue to ride that gravy train as much as it does, especially in games. Even when they get blown out, he just plays more minutes. So that really works for him as well. I also see this game with J-Dub. J-Dub having to hit the glass because you've got to be able to overcome all the Spurs rebounders that they have essentially in setup. Chet's going to play. Obviously, Chet sat out last night to gear up to possibly play in this game. So he's going to see the floor tonight, so that'll be kind of interesting. Hardest time played. Last time they played the Spurs, basically was able to put up 10 points, and that's really about it. Was able to get decent numbers. His points and rebounds is technically under what he has with Cornette starting, and he does have the advantage over Cornette when it first basically starts the game. He's kind of an interesting guy to keep an eye on. We look at what happened last time. Darren Fox at 22 in the NBA Cup final. But again, guys, you guys got to remember this is an NBA Cup game. Guys had a little bit more. That was the championship game. They a little bit more oomph. Sorry, the semifinal game to play in that game. Do they have the same oomph to get ready to play OKC in this game? We'll see. What I really, really, really like, I'm Stefan Castle. Should be able to get 7 assists tonight. He's had it in almost every single game. I know the last time they played OKC is the only game in the last 5 that he didn't have it. I think he comes right away, right at the beginning, trying to get people involved. Definitely do think they're going to need his scoring. Kind of that points assist is also probably a decent look to take a look at. But this game is still 12 minutes away, but it should be a very good game. It should go back and forth, I think. I think you're going to have opportunities on both sides to kind of get involved if you want to get involved. We've been talking about for weeks Keldon Johnson. Keldon Johnson's been a rebounding nightmare. 5 rebounds, 3 out of his last 5. He's been able to catch his rebounds. He beat his rebounds in the first matchup with OKC. So should be able to get that as well. Dylan Harper. Harper's minutes have continued to gone up. Unfortunately, he's had to get more and more points because they keep raising that number higher and higher. If we look at Dylan Harper, what he's done in the last couple of games, last two after that game, none. He put up 8 points last time, 21 and then 24. Consistency is the thing we're trying to look for Dylan Harper. We're trying to see how he kind of relates to it and his ability to kind of feed into this game. So, yep. So Vassell had that massive game. He had 4 threes. Is he going to be able to produce 4 threes again? Probably not. Would he able to still get his points? It's a possibility. But again, you're looking at 13.5. It's pretty wise. I kind of think unless he just comes out for that first quarter and gets started, like what can we get him in the first quarter? If you remember last game, he kind of really erupted in that early in the first quarter. And from there, we could just kind of play him. So Vassell to get 4 points in the first quarter is minus 106. I actually like that. I'm going to play that again. I think that's where the advantage they have when they look at for the line. Gerardo's going to take the Boston Bruins live at minus 125. Okay. Let me see what's going on in that game. So then I can take a look. Ice hockey. Western Kentucky took the lead. Minus 138 for the Bruins. Okay. I like that, Gerardo. No issue with that. We are definitely there. We'll take a 2-2 game. We'll take the Bruins. We've got 35 minutes to be able to bring this one home. So let's see what Shea's points are the first hour. Yeah, Shea to get 10 points is not something I want to take. I can see OKC winning the game. Kind of a little revenge game, but their Mavs are all over the Nuggets. 16-4. It's early, though. It's NBA. It's early. Pels have battled back pretty nicely, which is nice to see. Hawks are spanking the Bulls. We talked about the 76ers having issues with getting nothing from Tyrese Maxey tonight. Absolutely nothing. So thank you for the follow, Rizak. I'll appreciate that. What are we getting on that? What do we have live? All right. So someone in the chat, got 9 people watching. That's great. Always see on TikTok. Got a couple people watching on YouTube. We're live. We're having a good show. Someone chat something on the TikTok. I want to make sure it's actually working. Someone told me again that they were having issues typing something. So. All right. OKC is getting ready to start. Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks, Resuck. That's all I need to know. Someone said they couldn't type, and I couldn't figure out how, if there was something I needed to activate. So, man. I tell people always to watch out the games before Christmas if they're playing on Christmas Day, because guys tend to take the night off, try to go into relax mode. Any of those things are there. Anthony Davis off to a nice start, 10 straight points to start the game. All right, Gerardo, you're playing in both spots. I appreciate that. Thanks, Gerardo. We're live on both. Again, my boy Witty College Football is going to join us. We're going to talk college football. We're going to talk bowl games. We're going to talk college football playoff. We're going to talk how bad Florida is. But yeah, it should be a good night. We're looking for some opportunities. Queens got 4 rebounds. That's good, at least. They showed a little bit of a pulse and kind of battled back a little bit. Zion still, him, Murphy, and Fears are your leading scorers with 7 points. So, I'm getting hearts now. Now you're killing me, Gerardo. Killing me. Michael Porter's off to a nice game. 25 points in the first half. Maxey only has 5, but he did pick up those 2 quick fouls and then basically had to sit. Embiid's got 19 points as the Nets have no answer for Embiid. What can we get? Is Embiid going for 30 tonight? Do we think Embiid's going to get 30 tonight? Is that what we think that's going to happen? What do we have his points live? Probably 32. Well, that's 30 and a half. That's interesting. Trying to throw that extra half point in is a little bit higher. 11 points, 2 quarters, 6 and 5. It's possible. I'll sprinkle that. I would have liked it if it was 29 and a half better, but I'll sprinkle it. It's 29 and a half. We have the value. If not, we don't. So we got Raptors and Heat battling back and forth. Almost everybody in the Raptors is 5 points, the entire starting lineup. Adebayo is your rebounding machine here. They're trying to do their best to keep Khalil Ware off the glass. He's still got 3 rebounds, though, so we're not too bad. Adebayo's got 7. Start the game. Your big rebounder for the night is Musu Diabate. Diabate had 11 rebounds almost at the end of 1. He finishes the half with 13. His live rebound prop is 19 and a half for his rebounds. He already has a double-double. The Wizards just have no answer, which is shocking because it's kind of what Alex Sarr is supposed to be able to do. Block shots, Bagley, block shots, make it difficult. They have some size. Just for whatever reason, Diabate's killing them on the glass. Like we talked about, the Pels are down 8. Closing off, Uvis Missy, trying to figure out how to play these 3 bigs here. Kind of going down the line. It's going to be very interesting for the Pelicans. So, all right, Denver at least showing a little bit of a pulse here. 13 to 29. Marshall's got 7, halfway to his 15 we talked about. Davis has got 10. There, Knicks and Timberwolves are in a pretty close game. Robinson's already got 2. That's good. We only need 4 more points. We'll take that. Towns is your league scorer with 9 points in the first quarter. Still going on. Randall's got 4. Gobert's got 2 of the rebounds. That's what we need. Let's go. Talked about OKC and the Spurs getting ready to tip off at 8:30. Then we got the Lakers versus the Suns. No Doncic tonight, if you're not aware. Should be a very interesting game. Then you got Memphis versus Utah. Larry Markkinen, who played last night, is going to take a seat tonight. Yusuf Nurkic, who's been a 10-rebound consistent guy, is going to take a seat. So it should be very interesting. So who's going to be able to kind of be able to take those minutes in there? Collier, who we've been cashing on left and right, is going to get started. Western Kentucky and Southern Miss are tied into the third quarter with 2 minutes to go. Personally, I'm on Western Kentucky here. I was kind of surprised Southern Miss played as much of a game that they have so far. Gerardo gave us Boston money line, so we're going to play that right now. Got a little bit on that. Other than that, we're kind of waiting on what we have. Waiting to see if Derek Queen can get back in this game to get 1 or 2 rebounds. But, man, Zion is such a usage here on the Pels since he's come back. So definitely think that continues to kind of cut into the Queen's production. But he's off to a nice start to start the season. So a little better than I thought, but he's still there. The Wizards and Charlotte are back going. If you wanted to play something live, I like the Hornets. I think the Hornets will close this out. Too many consistent scores versus the Wizards right now. But the Wizards will battle the whole time. So 68, 65. But if you're dependent on the Wizards to shoot threes, that's really not a key for winning, especially as poorly as they pretty much shoot from the three on a consistent basis. Here come the Pels. We got them at 9.5, and they're down 3. But then Spider says, "Okay, let's cool your roll down here right now. This is still my team." Koulibaly misses the dunk. Oh, nice block by Alex Sarr. Tells Khan Knipple to take off here. All right, joining me live on YouTube will be my buddy, Witty College Football. He's here to talk all things college football. See him at his YouTube, Witty CFP. Basically breaks down games, talks about different things that are happening in college football. Breaks down, goes on a team-by-team basis. So if you don't care about the Alabama, well, don't watch the Alabama video. But he's on there posting different videos, so definitely check him out if you get a chance. So let me add him to the show. Hey, what's up, Rob?
Hey, appreciate the warm introduction, and hope everyone listening is doing well and that they enjoy their holiday, and just super excited for these round 2 matchups here after the round 1 matchups. I won't get too much in the G5, but that was the big kind of talking point for the past couple days or so.
Yeah, definitely see that with the G5 and some of the games going on. How do you feel like the games have taken off so far?
Oh, well, I'm not a G5 crusader by all means, but nobody should be surprised by the matchups that happened. I mean, Tulane got smacked. James Madison, yeah, they put up a bunch of yards on Oregon, but a lot of it was in garbage time. And for the setup that they have right now, those are the teams that should have got in. Now we can sit here and probably talk for hours in terms of how they adjust that. That's one thing, but I don't anticipate this ever happening again. So I think people are just kind of blowing this out of proportion and say, you know what, Tulane, James Madison, good for them for getting in, but now we have the games that I think everybody objectively wants to see.
Yeah, I mean the games that we have left are probably the better games, but that's the thing there. Everybody doesn't like these, and I can understand. I mean, the questions there: do you create the group of 5 playoffs versus the Power 5 playoffs? And I actually think if you did that, there will be a lot of teams that would be interested to try to just classify as group of 5 because they know they're not going to win, but they could win a group of 5. So I think, and you'd still get notoriety playing pretty good college football. It's like guys are playing in the FCS playoffs. If you watch any of that's been going on, the FCS is a fun, exciting playoffs to watch. Typically, if you're from the Dakotas, that's who wins. This year, all the Dakotas actually got eliminated. So that is not what we found out last week. Well, not last week, but 2 weeks before. All roads were going to lead towards Montana, which basically you kind of had the defuncto FCS championship already last week. If you're not aware, Montana played Montana State. Was a tremendous game back and forth, but Montana State, who lost to Montana by 3 earlier in the year, kind of put the whoop on them. No defense played in this game. There was over 70 points played. So that was, it's always a fun thing. From a betting perspective, though, I love these group of 5s in. There's nothing I like better from a betting perspective when you throw Oregon versus Tulane, and I've got to tell somebody to take minus 17.5, take the team total. Don't care. Don't care. Take the first half. Now, technically, I thought James Madison would play well in the first half. And I've discovered really quickly in the first quarter that wasn't going to be the case. But that's the issue when you look at these group of 5s is they just don't have the speed. They don't have the speed that if a guy gets into the opening, he's gone. and they're just going to basically just turn around and watch them run. Versus the other teams there. Some of the other teams don't have the speed to get those guys there. I really like Oregon. I think Oregon has a really, really good shot to win the national championship. I like their road. I like their chance to get there. But I think every one of these teams are flawed. Every one of those teams. Miami's flawed. Ohio State's flawed. Indiana's flawed. All of them are flawed. There's always something they can do that they don't do well. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how it works, especially Indiana, Ohio State being 2 weeks off. The whole rah. We'll get right into that right away. Miami, Ohio State, they put on the Friday night on New Year's Eve, right before, to try to basically do the best they can to get Ohio State the advantage. Why do I say that's an advantage? Because you're the prime time. You're the only game that's on. You're the first game that's there. You're trying to get the jitters playing on the night game versus getting the Saturday day game for Miami. Playing in the Cotton Bowl, it's kind of been a house of horrors for Miami too. So that part of it's not good. But it depends on what Ohio State team we see. If Miami's defense that shut out Texas A&M can do similar things. Now, here's the different things. Marcel Reed can run, and he ran for a bunch of first downs. Julian Sands not running at all. If their goal is him running away there, he's going to have a very, very long day, similar to what he had versus Indiana, where he was kind of running for his life. They don't really trust the run game. I'm not saying Miami can shut down Jeremiah Smith. I don't think they have any chance in hell being able to do that. But if they can basically play hard-nosed defense, the issue I see is Miami's going to have to get more in the pass game from Carson Beck to win the game. But Miami is live here. Make no mistake, Miami is live in this game. But I think Ohio State wins, but I thought Texas A&M was going to win. I thought Texas A&M during the game was going to win the way it looked like at half. Miami just figured out a way to make some plays. So I'll pause there and let you kind of give your take on it. So, yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of good things that you touched on. I think the one thing that I definitely want to elaborate on, if you're a Miami fan, is I would seriously question how realistic it is for Mark Fletcher to be able to have as many explosive plays against the Ohio State defense that, for the most part, is, at least statistically speaking, the best defense in the country. And, you're right. I mean, Carson Beck only had 100-something yards versus Texas A&M, and obviously Texas A&M's weakness was, is their run defense. So it made sense why Miami was able to get so many explosive plays. So I think that's why, even though you kind of look at Julian saying and saying, you know what, he's done a great job so far, but I think a lot more pressure is going to be on Carson Beck. And I think in order for Miami to win this game, he's going to have to play mistake-free football. Julian saying is going to have to be contained, and you're going to have to force him to, to be poised and do all those things too. He's only thrown for 6 interceptions too. But I think that's kind of the big, and also, Ohio State's bread and butter this year has been kind of those quick attack passes. And now that Ryan Day's calling plays, I think it adds a little bit of a wrinkle to this too, especially if Bain and Mansour can get home just as well as they did last week versus A&M.
Yeah, that's going to be the question. I think you shut down the run. It'll be a question to see how Miami attacks us. I do think Miami's going to have to score. I think we're going to have to score about 20 points. But I still like our defense better than Indiana's defense. And they were able to shut them down, so maybe we'll get the same thing, but we'll see. I mean, again, gun to my head, Ohio State wins the game. But I think Miami's live for most of this game. And I don't think – I think, again, if you go back and you look at a couple things. So a lot of people didn't look at weather plays a factor. Weather's not going to play a factor in the Cotton Bowl. Weather is now, we can cut out weather. We're not going to really have the same weather that we had in there. And you looked at it in the Midwest. You saw it in the Oklahoma, Alabama. You had swirling winds. You had swirling winds in the Miami game. You had swirling winds in the Bear-Packer game. All those things played a part of that game because you either had to have a strong arm and just fire the ball in where you wanted it to go, or it was going to be a little bit different, or you were basically off. Because if you look back, you look at the Texas A&M, and again, in the end, I think this actually helped Miami because it helped Craver and Concepcion kind of get handled, which helped them out with that. But they missed Josiah Trader on a bomb that he was open by 15, 20 yards early on. You had the trick play to Malachi Tony, and he basically said with the win, I wasn't going to throw across the field. But Carson Beck was the only guy on the left side of the field. You should have just tossed it up there like a lollipop, and he basically would have ran for 20, 30 yards. That play was perfect. You just never looked at the quarterback. You were just sitting there looking at the wide receivers going, all right, they're both covered. All right, I'm just going to eat this and throw this away. But had you look left to the guy who gave you the ball, he was the only guy on the left side of the field. The only guy. They were showing that on ESPN. They were like, really, any kind of throw here would have went down. So it's a little interesting when you look at it that way. Again, I'm looking forward to it. We got 2 weeks to prepare. You're going to have 2 weeks for everybody there. I still think Cristobal is going to do something that kind of screws us, but it definitely did something last game that tried to screw us. I was yelling the entire game. Texas A&M averages over 120 yards in the season through the A-gap. We're running off tackle. We're running off tackle again. We're doing wide plays. We're doing wide receiver screens. We're doing jet. We're doing everything we can do to get off tackle. Stop. How did we win the game at the end? We went A-gap, A-gap, A-gap. That was it. And then we went off tackle, of course, because he has to go off tackle for the Malachi Tony play. But Tony's fast enough to out to the edge. So, but the thing is there, and then you look at Ohio State. Ohio State has also been similarly used through the left tackle. They're going to be without their starting center. That might be a big deal in this game. There's a lot of interesting things. But let's move on to the other games. All right, so Saturday, we wake up. It's New Year's Day. Most of the people, they've got to basically try not to drink or have any kind of fun, and then turn around and play a football game. I always love that. Oregon, Texas Tech, great team. Texas Tech, great defense, outstanding. I think Oregon has too many weapons. As I already told you, I like their path to get through here. I think this game is close, but I think Oregon wins. I just think their defense will be able to make it difficult for the Texas Tech. As long as Oregon doesn't give them short fields, I think you're going to have an Oregon win. And I think they'll cover the 1.5. So games played in the Orange Bowl. It's 10 days. You might have some weather. Who knows? Maybe that calls a play. But if it's dry field, I like Oregon and their speed.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to agree with you too. I mean, you definitely have to give Dan Lanning a ton of credit for the program that they've built. 38-4 in their past 42 games. Their only losses came from the national championship, and then when they got spanked last year in the Rose Bowl versus Ohio State. But nevertheless, I mean, I think just like what you said before, in my predictions for the college football playoffs, I actually have Oregon facing Georgia in the national title game. That's how much of an Oregon believer I am this year. I think the bracket has definitely helped them out as well. But I also think they have the most favorable path in that sense too. But I definitely don't want to overlook this Texas Tech defense too. I mean, particularly Jacob Rodriguez, who has 117
Yeah, Jacob
tackles on the
Rodriguez
year.
is an absolute beast.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yep.
And also David Bailey too, transfer from Stanford, who had 17.5 tackles for loss too. But I guess if you're Texas Tech, I kind of ask myself like, hey, what are going to be the key to victories too? Because the thing about them right now is I think if you're Texas Tech, I think you have to be able to find a way to run the ball a little bit more and be able to get some pressure on Dante Moore And I think a lot of the time, I think people are a little overly critical about Dante Moore, but I think this game is going to be a big side effect in the sense of I think we're going to actually really get a glimpse of by the end of this game, we'll know for sure if Dante Moore is the type of guy that can legitimately lead him to a national championship.
Yeah, that's going to be the question. It's can Dante Moore step up and play? And it'll be a big game. And the scouts are really going to look at this game too because they're going to be playing a legit defense. But there, the other thing again, they got to play this game at noon. That's the only downside. Like Oregon, you're going to be looking for a body clock game. I just hate these games after New Year's because you're asking young kids. You're asking young kids to go through New Year's Eve. Don't celebrate. Don't be out there. Don't wait for the ball drop. Don't be sitting in your room watching the ball drop, whatever. Just turn around and then play a noon football game. No, sorry. There shouldn't be a noon football game. It almost be more better if you put this game at 4:00 on Friday, and then you have 4:00, 8:00 Friday, and then 4:00, 8:00 Saturday.
What we really shouldn't have is neutral site games. That's really what we shouldn't be having.
Well, someone's got to go to a bowl game. I just got to tell you there. I watched the bowl game today. There might have been 4,000 fans in Boca. I hope it got very good ratings because other than that, no one else was going to the bowl game. So that wasn't happening. 4:00, Bama, Indiana is going to be a very interesting game. I liked Bama. I liked Bama versus Oklahoma. I'm still not I'm not sold on Indiana. I'm flat out tell you, I'm not sold on Indiana. I'm getting 7 points. I think Bama can keep it within 7. I just really can't. I think they can confuse Mendoza. I'm not a big Mendoza fan at all. He's got the lowest stats ever for a Heisman Trophy winner who hasn't run for 1,000 yards. He had the same amount of passing touchdowns, right up there with Ian Book. By the way, Ian Book never won the national championship. I never won the Heisman or never won the championship either. But that's kind of shows you, okay, nobody looked at his college career and said, oh, that was stellar. He had a cup of coffee in the NFL, and then I think he's a quarterback's coach somewhere. But other than that, it's not the same there. I'm not sold on him. And this is not the great Bama team of old. Ryan Williams is on a milk carton. But Isaiah Horton, the ex-Miami player, has definitely stepped up and been a massive addition here for Alabama and kind of consistent target for Ty Simpson. They got Jam Miller back last week. I thought that was big. They were getting their ass kicked off over there. They're going to go to the Rose Bowl. Again, another place Alabama probably thought it would ever play ever is in the Rose Bowl. But I kind of like Bama here plus the 7. I think they can win outright, but I like Bama plus the 7, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, who would have thought on your bingo card that Alabama and Indiana would be in the Rose Bowl? So I'm definitely kind of fascinated to see how well both these teams travel. I mean, I think obviously they both will, just given the historical implications of it. But nevertheless, I mean, I guess my question for the I'm just not sure what people kind of pinpoint in terms of why there's been so much Indiana hate. And I get it with Alabama. They're super resilient. They're well coached. Kane Womack deserves a ton of credit for the adjustments that they made in the second half to be able to get home to Mateer and be able to contain him and make sure that he's not that he wasn't rushing the ball. But I think what's different about this game is, for the most part, Indiana, both offensively and defensively, they're well disciplined. They don't make a lot of mistakes. And quite frankly, I think Alabama is going to be one dimensional in this game. I don't buy that Jam Miller is going to be able to rush the ball at all. I think a lot of those lanes are not going to be there because Indiana's front 7 is, quite frankly, pretty underrated in my opinion. And, not to mention too, I think Indiana has a lot more weapons on the outside than they get credit for. And to me, this just kind of feels like a game that, Kalen DeBoer deserves a lot of credit for winning the amount of big games that he has. But to me, this just kind of feels like the end of the rope. Even though Ty Simpson deserves a lot of credit for what he's done, they have a lot of great weapons on the outside. But I think Indiana's gonna be able to make Alabama one dimensional, and they're going to take care of business.
Okay. I got 7 points. So as long as I can hold within 7, I'm perfectly fine with that. What is your we go to the last game, Georgia, Mississippi. I think this is a game where defense wins. Ole Miss is going to have to score a ton of points. I've said that all on this year. I don't know if Georgia was really any good. They're just kind of a team that plods and plods and plods. They should have lost to Auburn. Gun to my head, I do think that was a fumble, but it looked like they should have lost to Auburn. Auburn took forever to make the quarterback switch. Don't know why they did, but you look at this team and you wonder where the playmakers are for Georgia. The defense is good, but it's not as good as years past. It's not like this lockdown, shutdown defense. Tennessee was able to move the ball pretty much versus Georgia. Should have lost that game. Yes, maybe they're peaking at the right time. Definitely coaching is very, very good for Georgia perspective. Ole Miss, they get the 1 win. I don't think they're going to get the win here. I just don't. I think the Ole Miss defense is terrible. I think there are teams that could just go up and score 30 points for them. Whether this is this Georgia team, I don't know, but I do think Georgia wins here, and it's not really that competitive.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, though, I think a lot of fans are going to be surprised. I think they're going to see definitely a little bit of a different Ole Miss team here, right?
Okay.
Because first things first, let's give Georgia credit. They've only allowed 15.9 points per game, which is number 2 in the SEC. I've said before that Georgia's my pick to win the national championship right now, and the one thing that you coach in college football, I think Gunnar, the big question that you're going to have to kind of rally yourself against is Casey going more and more. I think he's really your X factor if you're Ole Miss, right? Because I think Chambliss has proven that he can lead the offense. Charlie Weiss, as a play caller, has proven that they can get explosive plays when necessary. We saw that in the first matchup versus Georgia. But what was missing for Ole Miss? It was that consistent defense, and the reality is that Georgia kept finding different ways to score. And to me, in a most simple way, if you're Georgia, keys to victory, you got to find the way to control the time of possession, control the trenches, and limit Lacey as much as you can.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's the question. Chambliss, has he played elite defenses yet? And how is he going to basically kind of respond when he has to play there? Also, is he got 1 foot out the door? He's a week away before probably turning around and say, "Hey, I'm leaving for LSU." He was granted another year.
I mean, yeah, but that I try not to listen to narratives like that because if you with that logic, then Will Stein doesn't care about his matchup this week. Lapoy doesn't care about the defense. You know what I mean? Like if you already made it that far, I never really understood that kind of.
I know. Here's where I say we're dead. Pre-flop probably doesn't matter, but I watched the NBA on NBA League Pass and cable and everything. During the game, when you get behind by 14, 17 points, we'll just say 13, 14, there's a part that comes into you that's like, well, it really doesn't matter. I'm leaving anyway. But yeah, you're in this spot. You want to win the championship. So I agree with that. But I think there are parts during the game when things don't start to go your way. You're just kind of like, okay. And I think you see that for skill players, running backs, wide receivers, not giving that extra effort, defensive linemen running down guys. I mean, I saw that at times with Messidor and Bain. Ball was going way out to the outside. Guys there, let's just do this nice little kind of half-ass jog, and we'll see if we get there. And if we don't, it's not a problem. You're trying not to get hurt, and sometimes guys play not to get hurt, and that does come into games. But I can see, yes, for the smaller bowl games, sometimes that's really even bigger than when you have a legit championship on the line. But yeah, I do think we get some good games, but I don't think all of them are going to be good. I think Georgia does beat Ole Miss pretty good. I think you have a tendency to potential where Indiana, Alabama I actually think could be a blowout, but we'll see. But let's take a pause. Let's see what's happening in the association as we get here. We're getting ready towards 9 o'clock. We've got 2 games kicking off. We got the Lakers and Phoenix. We've got Memphis and Utah. Many people know we win a lot of money on the Jazz. They may not be a great NBA basketball team, but they have some consistent guys who source some consistent stats. And when you bet, that's all you want. You just want a guy who I can sit here and say, hey, this guy more than likely is going to play X number of minutes. And in those minutes, he's going to produce X number of stats. So let's take a look at that game. We'll take a look at Memphis, Utah. We talked about Lauri Markkanen's out. Kyle Filipowski is going to step into his shoes tonight. We talked about who's the other guy that's out. Nurkic is out. Nurkic is out. Kyle Filipowski's going to flip his. Kevin Love is going to get the start tonight. Kind of interesting. He's been having some very nice games. Unless you've been watching Jazz basketball, you haven't even heard of it. But Isaiah Collier is a guy we continue to bet. We're going to continue to bet. I like Collier's points over 9.5. I love his assist. We've been cashing his assists for 5 straight days. Why not tonight as well? They did bump it up a little bit. So they bumped it up to 7. I'm going to play the 8 at plus 126. If you played the 8 in the last 5 times when we cashed, that still would have cashed. He's probably going to get close to 10 tonight. So I'm going to play Collier at plus 126 to get 8 assists. I think he's going to see the floor a lot. I think this Grizzlies team is going to be a very good game. There's a reason the line's only 4. Grizzlies are going to be without John Moran. Obviously, is not playing. Coward looks like he's probably not going to go tonight. Let's go see if we can confirm that. Since we got 3 minutes, we should have it confirmed. Yep, Gigi Jackson's going to start tonight. No Vince Williams. Brandon Clark, who came back, he's not going to start. So he's going to sit the bench as well. Keontae George will play for Utah, so he's been a 20-point scorer, 25, 26 consistently. I'm very interested to see how Kevin Love comes into play. Cam Spencer has actually been playing very, very well. Besley filling up the stat sheet, especially with Gigi Jackson. It's kind of a little bit of a black hole. Comes in, and so his rebounds assists is 11.5. So I'm going to play Cam Spencer's rebounds at an assist over 11.5. Let's see what the chat likes. I know Gerardo's on Cam Spencer's PRA, so he likes that as well. I mean, I could see if you want to just kind of like be clear, you could take Cam Spencer's assist at 8 assists, and you could take Isaiah Collier's assist at 7 if you want to be there. A little quick 2-person parlay. I like that at plus 170. It's probably got a pretty good chance to cash. And then we got the other game. We got the Lakers basically pulling in the old lineup. And the old lineup is going to play the Phoenix, who's going to play everybody tonight. So hold on one second. Trying to get this bet in and it doesn't want to go through. I hate it when it does that. All right. Got to redo this. Reset it, reopening. All right. So we talked about no Luka tonight for the Lakers. He's going to have a seat. Getting ready for his Christmas Day matchup. That's all this is. Gillespie's playing. Brooks and Booker are playing. Jake LaRavia is going to step in for Rui Hachimura. So it's going to be Marcus Smart, Nick Smith, Jake LaRavia, LeBron, and Aiden, which is interesting because that means Reeves is not going to start this game. Kind of an interesting move here by the Lakers. Let's look and see what we've got in this game. Lakers are 3.5-point dogs. I mean, I kind of thought this would be a game Austin Reeves would go out. Not really happy that he's not going to start. Also leans believe he's probably going to have shorter minutes as they get ready for the more exposure on the Christmas Day game. It's kind of funny that comes into play, whether or not they're in the end, they both each count as a win, but they could care less. They'd rather have the exposure, apparently. So that's kind of where they're chewing from. Are you playing any bowl games? Are you watching any? Are you looking at any? Or are you? Do you have any thoughts on any of the bowl games that are not college football playoffs? Are you watching them during the day?
I mean, I got to see a little bit of Louisville and Toledo. That was pretty fun. And then I also got to watch a little bit of NC State versus Memphis too. And for those Miami fans out there, if CJ Bailey can if he somehow decides to go into the portal, I really think you have to give him a call.
I don't like CJ Bailey. I don't think he's an accurate passer at all. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but to me, CJ Bailey's not the guy they want, by the way.
He's a good insurance policy, though. He would be a great. I mean, if he's willing to ride the bench for $1 million or $2 million a year and develop for a year, I don't think he's a bad guy to have there.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to ride the bench. Wherever he's going, he's looking to play. I mean, you're not leaving NC State where you have a starting job to go ride the bench somewhere else. That's not happening. It'll be interesting to see. So who in your minds is the domino that needs to fall for the transfers then to start going through? We know the portal opens up on January 2nd. We know the highest grader in the employer is the 5-star defensive end from Penn State, Chaz Coleman. Brendan Sorsby is next. Who in your minds is the quarterback domino that has to fall in order to start all the other dominoes between Dylan Raioli, DJ Lagway, who somehow is ranked in the top 5, Byron Brown. Here, let me ask you a quick question here. Would you rather have DJ Lagway or Byron Brown?
See, that's such a politician question because the politician answer is it depends who's my offensive coordinator, because DJ Lagway has more upside than Byron Brown. But I also think, like, if I just needed one season, I'd probably bet on Byron Brown. But if I knew I had an extra season, I would pick Lagway because I think the right offensive coordinator can fix him. That's why I think he should go back to Baylor. Go back to either Baylor or TCU, go back to his home roots, find an offensive coordinator who knows how to sling the football, get his confidence back, and then he can transfer wherever he wants next year.
All right. And how happy are you that you learned that Florida State actually has more guys in the portal than the Gators?
I mean, Thomas Castellano's declare for the draft too. So I mean, that's that gave me a little bit of a laugh, but nevertheless, I mean,
Well, he got denied. He got denied his 6th year. So, and once he got denied his 6th year, I mean, that's all you're going to do is you're going to declare for the draft.
I mean, but John Summerall's done a great job at keeping this recruiting class together, though. Because for those of you who do check out my show, I mean, I was fairly critical of John Summerall at the beginning, and the more I heard from him, the more I learned about his character and kind of his background a little bit more, and just the fact that a lot of these guys didn't immediately leave, to me that says something about him. And also, I love the coordinator hires with Buster Faulkner from Georgia Tech, and also Brad White from the University of Kentucky, who he's coached a ton of cornerbacks who have made it in the NFL.
So back to your question, though, you're skating around it. Who is the first quarterback domino to fall? Because here's the deal. Because here's the deal. So let's look at the teams that need quarterbacks. We know Indiana's going to need a quarterback. They've proved they can take a transfer quarterback and turn him into a Heisman Trophy. Same thing that Miami had in their books, and be a contending team. You have Oregon is going to need a quarterback, and they're in the college football playoff that's going there. Miami's going to need a quarterback, and they're in the college football playoff. The SEC teams, probably Ole Miss is going to need a quarterback. Florida's going to need a quarterback. We talked about most likely NC State's going to need a quarterback, possibly South Carolina. You look at other places that could have air. So let's see. Miami's probably going to stick around there, so they're not going to need a quarterback. We don't know what Missouri's doing. They may need a quarterback. Pavia may actually eventually have to leave college. They're going to need a quarterback. Florida State's going to need a quarterback. Who's the domino that falls? You have all these guys in the name. We have Raiola, we have Sorsby, you have Lagway, you have guys that are going to give those guys a chance. Even Lagway, even CJ Morris if he enters the portal, Byron Brown. But who's the first domino that falls that then everyone's going to be like, oh crap, we've got to go get a guy?
In terms of quarterbacks, it's easily it's Sam Levitt and it's Sorsby. Those are the two guys. Those are the two guys. If you ask me, who are going to be the two most coveted guys, that's your answer. Because I think you're gonna it's going to be a little bit of a slow burn because Texas Tech's going to need one of those guys, right? And Miami's going to need one of them. So you are going to have to kind of wait on that a little bit. But if you ask me, I've said it before. I love Sam Levitt to be able to make it down to Florida somehow. I don't know how viable that is, but
I know you're a big Sam Levitt fan, but he had a terrible year. He served to be a pompous ass at the end, the way he left the program. But you're still a Sam Levitt fan.
You gotta go past the box scores when you're looking at some of these quarterbacks. It's the same way with Lagway. There's intangibles and athleticism and just the cannon of an arm that you simply can't teach compared to, a Kenny Minchie of the world, or, what's his face from Michigan State, Adrian. I know it's not Chili. I know it's not Chili's. I know I'm butchering the last name, but you get what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, so you believe it's Sorsby. Okay. So where do you think Sorsby, a gun to your head, I'll give you two guesses. Where does Sorsby enter?
To me, he should go to Texas Tech.
Okay. Now, why?
Because
Texas Tech has two young quarterbacks that they're playing. Neither of those guys are graduating.
Yeah, but we don't really know how much they actually believe in them. I mean, again, I'm not a Red Raider insider, so I'm not a beat writer for them. So, I'm taking with this a grain of salt. But at least for me, Sorsby makes the most sense out of all those big schools that we named. I don't think he's gonna end up at Miami. When I'm kind of thinking of these other schools, like Byron Brown's going to go to Auburn, so that takes Brown out of the picture there. So there's a limited pool for these big names, but the more you kind of think about it, I think some of the fits are gonna kind of figure themselves out.
Yeah. So you think Byron Brown's in the portal? He's just going to go to Auburn.
Yeah, I think he's just follow Gulesh there, and I mean that just seems like a no brainer to me. Now I think Drew Messmaker from North Texas. I mean nobody's talked a lot about him, and I saw the On3 report about how he's ranked the second highest quarterback, which I think is a little inflated. I think people are getting a little too box score heavy on that one, but if he does decide to follow Eric Morris to Oklahoma State, I that would definitely be a pretty intriguing fit for me, especially when you're a must maker. Like you're not really in a rush to have to go to like an LSU or somewhere else. It's okay if you want to go to Oklahoma State for a year or two, continue to develop, and then go to a bigger school, because the Big 12 is just a lot more wide open too, and you have the familiarity of Morris there too.
Correct. But if he goes to Oklahoma State, I think it's a nice move for him, because sometimes you don't have to go to the best school in the world. You don't have to. You have to go to a place you're going to put up numbers. And if they're going to be explosive and you think they're going to be able to get some guys to be able to there, I think it would be an interesting move for Messmaker. When I heard the Oklahoma State thing as well, I was kind of shocked that was kind of where he was looking at going. Dylan Raiola is all over the place. Obviously, guys automatically put him at Texas Tech because of his hero. But it wouldn't shock me if Raiola ended up, like, to me, if I'm Raiola, and he's probably would be hated for life, but what makes the most sense would be Indiana. Like, how do teams view Indiana? How do you think quarterbacks view Indiana as a place you want to go? Because, again, you're not going to put up stats. And that offense, Signetti, whatever you want, you're not putting up real stats. So you're going to have to be massively efficient. If you watch it, they run the ball down the field, and then he throws a 7-yard touchdown pass. I mean, in the red zone, you're going to throw touchdowns. He's going to call plays, but during the field, you're not really. But again, if you're Raiola, you've had 2 years in Nebraska, hasn't worked out for you there. Do you just follow over to Indiana? But the one thing I also question with Indiana, a lot of those guys that he brought over for James Madison, who've started for those throughout the years, are all going to be gone next year. So a lot of those guys that he built up, that knew his program, knew his style, actually had many, many years in that, and then went to Indiana, are all going to be gone. So it's a different team than you're looking at. But I think Raiola ends up in Indiana.
Yeah, I mean, if we're sticking with the Big Ten, and we don't know what's going on with Bryce Underwood yet, but I think Raiola at Michigan would be an intriguing conversation to have.
Yeah, but why would you want to go to Michigan? That team is going to be terrible.
Well, we don't know. Again, we don't know yet. We still don't know what is going on there. I think if they retain Biff, I think you'd be surprised how many guys decide to stay. Now, granted, he said in his press conference today that we really don't have a clear number in terms of how many guys are actually playing.
You got five of the 7 top guys asked to be let out of their letters of intent.
Okay, so that's the number. So that's the number that we have. I mean,
yeah. So including their number 1 guy, you have parents were calling and saying, "Well, if you were reviewing the coach when we were considering you, why weren't we told?" And I'm like, well, that I don't have any issue with. There's not a chance in hell I would have told you, hey, he's under investigation for possibly. And quite frankly, besides being married, didn't really do anything wrong. He had a relationship with a girl, should have divorced his wife if that's what he wanted to do. The craziest thing in the whole thing is the young girl just looks like a younger version of his wife. Holy cow. No, Carlton Carrington just looks like he badly injured himself just falling down on the court with no one touching him. Yeah, he's probably done for the night. And he just almost tripped over his own feet, but the feet never crossed, and he just like his legs just stopped moving, and he just fell down. Yeah, so Carrington's not playing anymore. Sorry. I had him to get 9.5 points. He's not getting 9.5 points. He's not coming back to this game. He's going to be out for a while, unfortunately. Where we were talking.
We were just talking about
Michigan.
quarterbacks too.
We're
Yeah, we were
talking
talking
about
about Michigan. Yeah, because Nico and Lenora Sellers, they both announced that they're staying at their schools, and I think if you're UCLA, that's a huge get, because I was thinking to myself, if Nico's on the board, for me, he's a top five. He's a top five guy, and I get the stock's down on him because he's at UCLA, but if you actually sit down and really watch him, another guy similar to Lagway, he has made some incredible plays for the shit offensive line that he's had this year. And I get, I get the whole thing with his dad and this, that, or the other. But if we're just talking about him as the football player, I think he's a lot more upside than people think. So be on the lookout for him.
Yeah, I could definitely see it, but I can see Nico did the right thing. He couldn't make it a circus. He has to just turn around. He made his bed. He's going to have to figure out how to improve that team. Just to basically there, he can't bounce around because it would be like, oh, he's just a hired gun. He's running around. At that point, a lot of those kids you're not going to develop. You're just getting essentially running around getting the bag, and coaches don't really like that. So especially the NFL coaches, it's one thing to do it in your senior year and you leave once, another thing to do it 2-3 times, and then like after the fiasco that he had, and then thinking always the grass will be greener. He made his decision. He's going to have to live with it. He's had some good games. I know his stock is way down. But I could definitely see you're saying if Nico became available. But I just look at this Michigan program. Underwood's gone. He could sit there and say, well, whatever he wants. His people are just lining up whatever it might be. I'm also going to raise a question for you. So we talked about the crazy thing that's happening in Tennessee with their recruiting kid whose mom wanted him to go who wanted to go to Tennessee. If you're not aware, basically he wanted to go to Ohio State, but his mom said no. He's 17, so he's not 18, so he can't make his decision. Mom has to sign the letter of intent. But he turns 18 in January. So he had to go through it. He went through the rigmarole to sign to Tennessee. He talked to the Tennessee coaches. They don't really include him as part of the class. They're not having him go out there in front of the media or any of that stuff like that. He showed up to his thing in all Ohio State gear and then basically said, I'm going to Tennessee, in the most reluctant way you'd ever seen a guy do the hat thing. But there, and then you kind of learn it. Well, it's just because mom won't sign the letter for me to go to Ohio State. So as soon as he turns 18, he's gonna choose Ohio State. To me, it's not that big a deal. He's not that great of a quarterback. He's probably a big guy who sits the bench for at least a couple of years, like a number of guys they've had. Max Brown was once a heralded quarterback, then finally bounced around his senior year.
Aaron Nolan, Devin Brown. You could say the same thing for those guys too.
Yeah. So but Nolan's only in second year. So, I mean, Nolan still has time to come up somewhere. But yeah, but we'll see. It's not that big of a deal. But I look at this Michigan team and I see implosion. You look at the guys who jumped in the portal. You look at the other running backs that have come through. You look at the recruits that says Biff Poggi is a local guy around here. He coached at Gilman in Baltimore. My niece is the athletic director there, so she fully knows of what's going on with that. He was over at San Francisco. he's also not a guy you want to put it there as your face of your franchise. Especially I say this the best way is more in college than it is in the NFL. There's not a lot of ugly coaches. There just isn't. There might be about ugly guys because they got old, but those guys were never really ugly. So he's not a guy you want to throw out there and say, Biff Poggi has shirts where he's just like a wife beater hanging out there on the sidelines. There when he was in Charlotte, he wore a white T-shirt that said Charlotte. That was it. That was his garb. Now he's an offensive line guy, so yes, I understand that, but no, that's not what you want your face of a college program to be.
I'm glad you didn't mention his win-loss record, because if for those people who just look at that, you also have to add the context that there's a lot of administrative turnover, a new athletic director in there, and there are absolutely little to no resources there whatsoever too. So if people are just looking at his tenure at Charlotte, I would just ask people, I think you got to turn a couple pages to see that even if they pull, I even suggested on my podcast, even if they just did what Stanford did with Frank Reich and say, you know what, we just need a year. Our guy's not here. Can you just ride the ship a little bit, get us 8-9 wins, and you can retire or, be an off-field analyst or do whatever. But, I get what people say with his connection to Harbaugh, but it's just not the same thing.
Yeah, it's not the same. I think the key thing that you're looking at, again, it's going to be trying to keep everybody. Michigan already is going to have a number of guys in the portal. There were still questions because people don't know who's staying for Michigan, whether they were going to have enough to field a team for their New Year's Eve game. I think they will. I think that's kind of a little bit over that because there's some guys are still gonna look and knows how that kind of looks to draft scouts and other teams and other members and stuff like that. But I don't see this Michigan team giving, as we talked about, a second effort. There's no guy running down 65 yards to go there because if you look right now, there's only 3 guys they have in the portal, and most of the time it's because your big name guys don't go in the portal until they've kind of figured out where they're going to go and what kind of money they're going to get to go to those places. So here's my other question. So if you're Texas, and I legitimately said this before, and I know they have got a pretty decent recruit coming in, a 4-star kid, do you go out and get another quarterback based on the year that Arch Manning had?
No, absolutely not.
To compete him.
No, it's not the same. I would make that argument that I think Texas A&M and Marcel Reed, if I'm Texas A&M, I'm going out and getting another quarterback to semi-compete with Marcel Reed, but I don't think this is the same thing with Arch Manning. To me, it just doesn't feel like the same thing. And, I get where people are coming from with this, but, I think with more time and more repetition and just a little bit less preseason hype, just for him to be able to legitimately get his bearings, now you have Steve Sarkisian who can fully focus on the offense since Will Muschamp is their new defensive coordinator. I think that's going to make a really huge difference because one of the things that Sark indirectly said is, well, 1, the administration expects me to win a national championship this year, but 2, most importantly, he didn't want to sit there. He felt like he had to look over the defense a little bit too much, and that's why you bring in a guy like Muschamp who, has been at so many different schools and has had so much success that I think, Stark kind of be able to put his arms around Arch Manning, be able to kind of work on those things that he's been struggling with. To me, if you're Texas, I'm all in on Arch.
Okay. I would bring somebody in, and not on that level. There'd be a guy like who was a highly recruit, but didn't start, like, to me, like an Aaron Nolan.
That's fine. That's fine.
You want to sit there and have a guy who was a higher recruit comes in there and say, hey, look, we are sold on Manning. We're there, but Manning might get hurt. He runs a lot, comes through. You'd have a chance to compete for the secondary job. have a chance to grow, and who knows? Because Darrison Gaines, he just looked like, lower quality quarterback than what we thought. There's a major reason he's not in the draft. So
Yeah, I just mean like don't bring in a guy like Musmaker or someone like that where it's going to turn to a quarterback battle. If they're bringing in an insurance policy like Nolan or another touted 5-star recruit from last year's class, that makes more sense to me.
okay, so here I'm going to throw a name out there for you. So, what about a Jake Ratzlaff?
I mean, I don't see why not if you're Texas. I mean, I don't think Retzlaff, like there's nothing about him athletically or physically that necessarily is going to make you say to yourself like, hey, he's going to be a total threat to Arch Manning. But I think if you're Texas, you say to yourself, well, hey, you potentially have a guy for next year. You have a guy that has a lot of big game experience, has won relatively consistently, not only at Tulane but also at BYU at his last stop. So
Or do you
why
take
not
it
give
like
him?
a DJ Lagway and say, hey, look, we want you to learn. We want you to compete. We want you to we believe you're the future. You just had a rough year. And would you think he would ever do that?
I just think there's other schools in Texas that legit need a starter right away. Like, why wouldn't he go to a school like, like Houston or TCU or Baylor? If I'm DJ, I would take one of those
Most
situations
people have
over.
him going to Baylor. And Baylor, because here's the reason I would say Baylor. Nobody knows who Sawyer Robertson is. The guy had 2 touchdowns in every game of the season, and no one talks about him.
Well, it's good. It's Baylor. That's why no one talks
Because it's
about him.
Baylor. Correct. So why do you think Lagway is going to have to produce better than that and still not going to get talked about?
But that's the perfect situation if you're him, though. I think that's exactly what you want if you're Lagway. If I were him, I would want the whole country to just completely forget who I am after the shit show that I've dealt with over the past year and a half. I think he wasn't completely 100% healthy. The Gainesville fans. I live down here. I know how relentless we can be, and quite
So much
frankly,
so
he
you're
just needs
trying to leave already. 1 year, you're already packing up and rolling out. There you
well,
go.
well, that's what most coaches do nowadays. So why can't
Just messing with you.
I?
Yeah, I could.
That was a good one.
Oh, so yeah. So I mean, I could say that. I'm still trying to interesting to say. I mean, it's just funny that we have to talk about this because again, you're going to have the games New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, and the portal opens up the next day.
Yeah, the more I think about things like this, the more the reality is it's just like a big it's almost like a big snowball avalanche where it just
Yep.
keeps on the ball just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and the reason why the ball keeps getting bigger and bigger is because the people who need to make money are all making money, so there's no real reason to fix it.
Well, the way to fix it is very simple. You push the start of the season forward 2 weeks.
Well, nobody wants. That's what I'm saying. Well, nobody. I'm talking about like just all the issues with college football in general, not just the portal or the calendar.
Correct.
Or
But the calendar is your biggest issue with college football. I mean, besides NAL, but yeah, but NAL to some reason has been deflated. You still have NIL, but you don't have it to the degree that it was. It's not
well,
the
now,
Wild Wild West.
well, it still is because you have you still have coaches tampering with players every which way too. So it still pretty much is just in a different way.
I will say the only way I can see it being the Wild Wild West is if the threats by the 2 coaches that were just hired, LSU and I forget where the other one, basically said that they were going to BYU. They were going to overspend. They didn't care what the number was supposed to be. They were going to spend 25 million. You're only supposed to have a max revenue sharing of 22 for all sports.
Yeah, but there's no one to police that because when Tennessee sued the NCAA, everybody was like, "Oh, well, the NCAA they don't have any authority anymore because everyone was like, well, now that we know we can sue them and win, then there is no authority figure anymore. So as much as people like to complain about the NCAA, you also have to look at, how they got sued into oblivion, and the legitimacy of them also in effect went away as a result of all those things too.
Yes, but it's Keystone Cop legal system, because I say that because what you're doing, you're suing them in your district for something on your team with a judge that went to your school, and then wondering why you got a federal judge there. Where did he go? Oh, he went to Tennessee, and Tennessee is suing for this. That whole thing was just there. But you're seeing the same thing on the political sense right now. You have Republican judges, federal judges that do this, and then it's offset and stopped by a Democratic judge that went to da da da. It's the same thing. It's almost like you guys stop realizing that you're supposed to actually be impartial, but none of you are. So yeah, it's definitely kind of a little bit downhill from there. All right, Charlotte beats the Wizards as we said, and that gives us a win. Coming on halftime, we do not get Carlton Carrington because he hurts his leg walking down the court. Nobody touched him, so that's never a good sign. And then immediately went to the locker room. Diabate got 18 rebounds on this game. Miller and Ball each got 23. Knepel got 19. Bridges, your lone person, only get 10, but he did get 9 rebounds and 9 assists. On the Wizards side, Middleton was your leading scorer with 16. Sarr with 11 rebounds. CJ didn't even get his 15. Bagley did, but that's it. That's the only game that's finished right now. You have Brooklyn and the Sixers. Sixers are trying to make a comeback here. They've cut it to 12. Maxey only with 11 points. Embiid is 27. We need 31. We got 4 minutes to go. We'll see if he ever touches the ball. So Hawks are up on the Bulls by 7. Should be able to bring that home. Trae Young with 14 assists tonight. Kind of turn back the clock. He's got 20 points tonight. Jalen Johnson back to his normal. He's down to 18. Nas got 17. Derek Queen has actually been able to score pretty nicely here. Him and Zion have combined for 46 points. Unfortunately, he hasn't rebounded the basketball. We need some rebounds from him. We need at least one to continue our parlay. We got 8 minutes to go. Let's see if he can pick something up. They're down 18, so that's generally when he scores most of his buckets anyway. Garland is not having a great night. Only 10 points, 27 for Mitch. Been your key cog here, but again, there's still 8 minutes left in this game. Bucks are beating the Pacers. We don't care about that. Heat are struggling. Big rebounder tonight is Adebayo. Where we need 10 rebounds. We got 9 minutes. They're down 16. We're not dead yet, but boy, we're going to need some help. And we're going to need Adebayo to stop grabbing rebounds. He's got 11. So Ware can get to 8 or 9 here real quick in the next 2 minutes. We should be fine. Nuggets have pulled close to the Mavs, trail by 6. Anthony Davis not really hitting the glass. No one really hitting the glass from a Dallas perspective. 6 rebounds as you're leading. Fly gets 24 points. Having a beautiful game. Marshall's got 12 points. It's Murray and Jokic, and everybody else is kind of just watching. Knicks and Wolves, we talked about many guys are out this game. Robinson does have 2 points that he got early, and that was it. Gobert, we needed him to get the 10.5 rebounds. He got the 10.5 rebounds. So we still have a quarter and a half. Gobert is probably going to have a 14, 15. OKC's up by 2 on the Spurs. We got our 4 points with Devin Vassell in the first quarter. So that cashed as well. Foxes are leading Cisco with 4. Suns beating the Lakers by 1. Cam Spencer has 4 assists, no points. Isaiah Colliers got 2 assists as he's finally come into the game, still with 0 points. As they trailed the Memphis by 4 points. So we got some 10 o'clock games to set up. So other than that, like I said, any other bowl games are you watching? Do do you like? Are you kind of intrigued by for one way or another because you think the guy may jump at the portal or that guy may jump at the portal? What's your thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like I've always been the type of person, I really try not to look at bowl games from that perspective. Like I try to look at it as, what everyone, as much as we like talk about the playoffs, right? 99% of these kids, as soon as they're done with football, they live a normal life just like the rest of us. And for me, I try to look at it as much as it is can be a stepping stone for some of these kids. It ultimately should be fun still, right? But that's a long-winded way of me of saying that a game to watch to me, I think Cal versus Hawaii tomorrow night is going to be a lot of fun. Especially JKS, their quarterback for Cal. He's expected to stay there. Expect just some big explosive plays, and I think also too, Penn State versus Clemson too on the 27th. I think is another fun matchup. Anyone who's watched my channel knows that I'm a Dabo Sweeney guy, and I'm definitely kind of curious to see, how much of an audition this could be for, kind of Clemson's program there too.
So, who do you think plays quarterback? So you're Clemson. Do you play Klubnik or do you play Vezina because kind of that's the future moving on? Like, where do you stand in that? They're like from Clemson, you didn't have a great year. You're barely bowl eligible. How you're playing in this game is almost a complete shocker. Do you just basically say, okay, I'm going to play for the future? All right, we got our 6 rebounds by Queen. That happened. That's good. But
I mean,
where's your take on that?
Klubnik's a senior too, but I mean, I think you finish what you start.
Okay.
Yeah, to me, he should be starting this game. I mean, Clemson was relatively resilient towards the end of the year. They, finished the year with a couple wins down the stretch, and I think that's the way it should be. Whoever wants to play, they can play. If they started the entire season, why are we changing it just for the bowl game?
See, I'd play him a half. Then after that, that's it. That's your swan song. You played 11 weeks. If my guy's going to stick around, I want that guy to give most live fire that he can get, especially in a game that doesn't matter. Doesn't mean anything. I understand for Dabo, it could be his last game in Clemson, maybe. I don't think
Yeah,
that'll be the
right.
case, but
He would have taken the job at Arkansas if he wanted to leave. He could have had the Arkansas job.
it wouldn't be him. It'd be okay if they come out there and they get embarrassed.
Doesn't matter.
Okay, you think it doesn't matter. I think the year they have and the year they have, if he goes out there and he gets embarrassed, it'll be just like, okay, every big game you had this year, you couldn't get your team ready for.
I mean, it's just because, with the way people are on Twitter now, which I'm just getting back into, people only remember, what happened 2 weeks ago. So it's just
Yes.
that's just the world we live in. People don't think about the other 15 years of success you had. You just think of the other, 2 that were kind of off-putting. I mean, but that's it's part of the game. I mean, you're going to have a bad season or two.
If I see one more tweet about Shador Sanders' college stats, I will die. The fact that somehow he's number 10 in the AFC in Pro Bowl voting is a joke.
Oh, so that's my point.
He's thrown double-digit touchdowns, and the highest thing that he could do for him is his skin color. That's his only thing that you can recommend, and people still think somehow he's great. So anyway, there's a reason. I do love the one of the guys I compared him to Caleb Williams out there today. He was like, well, last year Caleb Williams struggled. He threw interceptions. And so next year, here comes the rebirth. And I was like, it's not the same guy. I was like, you talking about a guy, he's listed as a 60 arm, which is above average. He's not listed as Caleb Williams. It was listed as an 80 arm. Now, sometimes that was a 2-cent head, but the one way I would say he could be like Caleb Williams is Caleb Williams had a chance of running backwards and trying to find the big play every time. And he had to learn to stop. Shador tries to throw deep every single time. So when he gets sacked, it's 8, 9, 10, 11-yard losses. And at that point, you might as well just get your punter ready because you're not coming back consistently from 2nd and 22. Sorry, went on my shorter rant, but yeah, it's there. So like, are you switching over to college basketball or are you just waiting here for football? So what are you doing when the season ends here in 2 weeks?
I mean, I got other projects that I do in my free time too, but I'll be doing the podcast a little bit throughout the year. I take a little bit of a hiatus from about maybe mid-February to to spring ball, and then I'm usually rocking and rolling from there. So it's only really about a month and a half to 2 month break that I'll take.
There's no recruiting videos breaking
I
down the
you know
recruits at each team.
you know I leave it for the guys who there's so many people, so many dudes out there who watch way more recruiting stuff than I do. Let them handle it. I'm
Okay.
humble enough to admit that I'm not sitting there and watching high school tape on top of all the other stuff I have to do too.
So my buddy who does the NFL draft thing for a team, they generally start like his take start breaking everybody down starts right here like 2 weeks ago. So he texts me and he's like, "All right, who do you like?" To tell me what there. I was like, "What position are we looking at?" And it's like, "Okay." And I'm like, "All right, these are the guys I got to see. These are the guys I want to have more stuff on. What's your take on this?" And I'm like, "All right, so I'm going to tell you the team you're going to love, but there's no way you're drafting it because that would be drafting 3 guys in the same position in 3 years. That's just not happening." But I love Sadiq. I think Sadiq is going to be so good in the NFL. It's going to be unreal. I think he's a matchup nightmare. I think he's going to cause Texas Tech major issues come Saturday. But yeah, that was kind of the first guy. Then we kind of break down. We were looking at offensive tackle, and I was like, oh, every team's looking at offensive tackle. When I started really breaking in, and I didn't really break it in, most of the guys that are projected, theirs are guys that they say could play left tackle, but didn't primarily play left tackle. Like they've got 10, 12, 11 starts at left tackle, but they didn't play left tackle the whole time. They played 11 starts at left tackle, 12 starts at right tackle, 6 starts at left tackle, 13 starts at right tackle. I'm like, well, these are your guys who are projected to be in the first round. So teams are looking for a left tackle, and most of these guys hadn't played left tackle consistently enough where I'd be like, I'm not spending a top 5 pick on a guy who didn't play left tackle unless I'm okay with him playing right tackle. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, not to mention too. I mean, this is a conversation for someone who is probably more knowledgeable than I am when it comes to this space. But I love to hear his thoughts on just how, I guess, the evolution of scouting has actually evolved, particularly at some of the more technical positions like quarterback and offensive lineman, with how many changes with how often kids are moving. I think you're seeing it more than ever now. Just development being stunted and players taking longer to make that jump from the college ranks to the NFL. I think you could see it in a lot of examples. And even when I was watching Phillip Rivers last night, and I never watched the NFL, but just because of the storyline, I'm like, you can just tell it was just like clockwork for Phillip Rivers being able to make those adjustments and be able to actually legitimately read defenses, unlike some of the guys that we see now who in many ways, when you look at the the portal class for quarterbacks, a lot of those guys all have really the same problem, which is that they can't read defenses and they don't have good decision making.
Correct, because the development is not there in college like it used to be. And you saw that with Woodford. And that's what I was basically saying. He knows he still has a noodle arm right now, but they believe he could dissect things a lot faster and still there. Like everyone's like, oh, they lost with 2 against him. He put up 20 points. He's put up 20 points. It wasn't his fault they lost. It was, yes, he threw 2 picks, but the second pick came at the end of the game when he had to make a throw. But that wasn't the reason they lost. They lost because defense couldn't stop San Francisco at any point during that game. So yeah, it is definitely, which I see. I say this all the time. He has trouble reading defenses, but a lot of times in college has been that way. It's been that way, I believe, since Michael Vick. When colleges were used to, why do you roll a quarterback out? Why do you take him an RPO? Because it's a 2 read. At that point, he's not reading that. He's reading the defensive end. And the only thing then he's reading is do I keep it or do I go? And then if I look back now to pass, I've got a 1-person read. If that's not there, I'm throwing the ball away. In the NFL, yes, maybe the Eagles are the only ones, and some people will still run RPO, but it's not run like it first came, like when it was like everybody was running RPO, like every play and then teams kind of adjusted to it, and it was like, what do you do? And in college, they still run it every single damn down. And you're still running. I watched Carson Beck do it, and I'm like, oh god, no. It's not like he's ever taking off and running. And when he does, he's not any speedster to get around any kind of edge. So
They don't have a snap count there either. The snap count is them clapping. In the words of John Gruden.
And that's the development in the college level has tiered off tremendously. I hate to say it because it's probably the right comment when you say it out loud, because you say, it's more geared towards winning than geared towards development. Meaning, what can we do that the other team can't figure out? Well, versus, hey, this is the right way to play quarterback. That's going to help them in the next level. That's why you look at guys who run pro sets. Look at the success of the Ohio State quarterbacks. Name one.
That's the one thing when people laugh at me.
Yeah, when there's people when they laugh at me and they're like, well, like, okay, I ask you a question. You're a college guy. You've studied a lot of college guy. Which Ohio State quarterback has the highest number of passing yards and touchdowns?
You mean all time, or you mean
all time for them? Yeah. I'll give you 3 guesses. You're not going to guess it.
I mean, can I get like a century? Is it the 20? Is it 21st century?
It's in the century my daughter was born. My daughter was born in this time that this happened.
Is it Troy Smith?
Nope. Talking quarterback. That was a way old quarterback. Okay, yes.
Okay, so I got to think a little. JT Barrett? No. That's a bad guess.
It's JT Barrett.
Oh, all right. I'll second try. All right, I'll take that.
It is JT Barrett. But and I said there was like, because you got Sand, you got Fields, you got there. They looked great in college. They look lost in the NFL. They're like they look like you have the Jets who basically said, well, we're going to run 80% of the down because he can't figure out what he's doing. You had the Bears go, okay, Fields had the great record of 15 of 17 games with the ball in his hands with the game on the line to either tie or win, and he lost every one.
But that's the disconnect now between. That's why I always tell people, I'm not here to discredit people or crap talk anyone, but that's why I always kind of push back on people who claim to cover the NFL and college football, because at least on my show I look at these players as they are right now. I'm not sitting here debating about whether or not they're good in the NFL or whether they can be in the NFL. I'm looking at them what they are right now and what they bring to their team. Whereas you see guys in the NFL who primarily cover the NFL and then talk about college ball and just find ways to nitpick every single player, as opposed to talking about, hey, here are their strengths. How can you build on their strengths, as opposed to nitpicking one or two, negatives about a guy.
Yeah. And it's a different game, but yeah. But we've reached almost there. We're going to call this at 10 o'clock. We got some games getting ready to kick off. I think we've gone through the college football. We've gone on some different things. But tell people where they can find them.
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube, Witty, WITTY, CFB. Posting relatively consistently on there. have a bunch of different guests on who, a bunch of beat writers, other podcasters. Definitely give it a listen if you just want to support independent media. And, for those of you listening, wish you a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and stay safe and stay healthy, and, enjoy time with your friends and family. And thank you for having me on.
No problem. Thanks, Rob. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take it easy. Bye. All right, we're going to switch to college NBA basketball. We got that at 10 o'clock. We've got Orlando, Portland. We've got Detroit, Sacramento. We've been riding pretty much plenty of these times. Maxime Renard. We're going to stay on Maxime Renard here with Sacramento. Unfortunately, Khalil Ware got pulled with 9 rebounds, so he's not going to get his 10 rebounds. Boston Bruins did not also come through for us. Gerardo gave us that one, but he gave us the Oilers too, so that looks like that's going to come through without any issue. Keyshawn George continues to get assists. Lost the 9.5 points there. He did hit the 1.5 threes. The Hornets won by 17. Knipple continues his 3-point barrage. Pels did not come home through. Boy, the Cavs backup unit just really kind of just throttled them. Gobert we hit pretty easily. Collier's still playing there. Queen's going to get to 7. Doesn't get to 7.5. Again, a blowout. As there, he does get 20 points because anytime it's a blowout, Derek Queen gets to score back points. So that's what he does best in a blowout. So he does get his PRA due to basically the game falling out of behind. Doesn't get his rebounds, though. Didn't get his assist either, so. What am I doing here? I'm trying to put on the Mavs game. I think we're going to call it right here at 9 minutes as we get back into this. So we're going to try to continue to do this probably on Tuesdays. But Wednesdays kind of going forward. However, with New Year's, we're definitely not going to do it New Year's. So, but other than that, thank you all for joining me. What if we can get Maxime Renard on? Let me take a look. Jazz are kind of getting beat out the building right now. Denver trying to make it all the way back, and they're down to 2. Big 3 by Cam Johnson there. Maxime Renard has got his rebound title. He had 14, 11, 11, 6 and 9. Jalen Duren's going to be there, but I still like Renard. We're still going to play Renard here to get 7.5 rebounds. So, surprised Khalil Ware cut us down. I kind of was wondering that was the one guy I thought that could kind of make it difficult for us. There's almost nothing I like. So I'm just going to leave it there, guys. We'll be on again probably once the new year hits and we hit 2026. So other than that, thanks all for joining. All right, take it easy.